You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Okay, well, in Kentucky, the MAGA Republicans in Kentucky have no sympathy for Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell had a stroke during a live press conference, about a week or so ago? And in Kentucky, they're just not hearing it. Now, I want to play this audio, and then we'll get into the details of what happened. But Mitch McConnell over the weekend, whose wife, of course, Elaine Chao, and his wife is also suspected by many, including me, of being his handler from the CCP. I think that's a safe assumption. But Mitch McConnell, a little more than a week after his stroke during a live press conference, he goes to an event in his home state of Kentucky. He speaks, and the crowd, without mercy, boo him, chanting things like retire and dump Mitch. Let me play some of this. It went on for 5 minutes plus. I'm not going to play all of it, just some of it, just so you get the idea. So that's retire. Yeah, okay, that went on for over 5 minutes. That's music to my ears. And Mitch McConnell didn't stop speaking once. He kept on going through his speech.
Like a lunatic.
Well, it tells me...
That's what a lunatic does.
Well, it tells me one of a couple things here are possible, okay? One, I'll throw that one in the mix, that he's completely insane.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one.
My notifications are going. I'll turn my phone off, sorry.
So the first possibility is he's completely insane.
Yes.
The second possibility is he's so out of it because he did have that stroke during a live press conference last week that he's so out of it he didn't know what was going on or even know it was happening.
Probably a mix.
Or three, he has dealt with this kind of response in Kentucky often, and it's so normal that it doesn't faze him. It's one of those three.
No, he looked a little upset. And to me, to continue talking is totally nuts.
If
it was me, I mean, he just continued to talk like giving a normal speech. He didn't even address what they were saying. Like, if people do that to Trump, do you think Trump would just keep talking like a nutty person? No, Trump would stop what he's doing, and he would either have them thrown out, go back to mommy. He would handle it. Mitch McConnell just kept talking.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what, like he should have stopped, and he could have, either walked off the stage and been like, screw these people, I'm not going to put up with this.
Yeah.
Or he could have had, if it was a smaller group, it sounded like a large group, though. I don't think he could have everybody removed. If it was me and people were doing that, I would have left. I would have been like, I don't need this nonsense. This is ridiculous. But I have a feeling this will be the first of many. Or he might be like Biden and never go in public again.
Well, I've never seen anything happen exactly like this before, not on that scale. So let me go through this article that's in Breitbart, and the article in Breitbart explains everything. So I'll read through this article. Now, of course, there is a thunderstorm going on. We are in rainy season in Florida, also known as hurricane season, and it's thundering. It's thundering loud. I don't know if you guys pick it up on the mic, but our dog and our new cat, our stray Luna that we took in, they're not too crazy about the thunder. And Luna, since she was a stray, she hasn't gotten used to the idea that she's not going to get wet when it rains inside the house because she's not used to being inside.
Right.
So when
she lived on the mean streets for about a year and had to hide every time she heard rain.
So when it's raining and thundering like this, she hides under things and starts meowing, which she's doing now. So you may hear
cute.
her in the
She's figuring it out, though.
I think she's meowing at us, and I think what she's saying is, it's raining. Why am I not getting wet? I think that's what she's meowing.
Doing better than she was a week ago, because when it rained a week ago, she would hide and we wouldn't see her for hours. And now she's actually wandering around. She'll hide for, whoa, I just saw a big lightning. She'll hide for a few minutes and then come out, but she is meowing a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
She's very talkative.
So anyway, let me get back to this. This is the article in Breitbart about Mitch McConnell's incident. Voters welcomed Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell with chants of retire and ditch Mitch at the Fancy Farm picnic in Kentucky over the weekend. The Fancy Farm picnic. Throughout the senator's 5-minute speech, people could be heard booing while chanting, "Lost the Senate, retire and ditch Mitch." Mm-hmm. McConnell maintained a straight face and kept soldiering through. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call that soldier. The chance for McConnell to retire come weeks after he froze in the middle of a press conference for an extended period of time, ending with him being escorted off by concerned staffers. He was escorted off by other senators. McConnell, who was 81 years of age, is the longest-serving party leader in the history of the United States Senate. He went silent during his opening remarks at a regular press conference that when we were talking about. They're saying weeks. It seems like it was like 2 weeks ago, maybe, to me. Yeah. A McConnell staffer later revealed that he had suffered from some lightheadedness. I think that was a mini stroke.
Yeah, lightheadedness due to a clot in the brain.
Something's going on here. Later that day, after he had the little bit of a stroke, he came back out to the podium. Reporters asked him if he was going to see a doctor. He says, "I'm fine," But this, and he also took a fall recently. But this booing incident, this is what one of the big problems we have in this country with our government in D.C. is that these people are up there for life. They never leave. They never retire. They are less than useless, because not only is Mitch McConnell useless to Republicans, he's quite useful to the Democrats. And there's only one thing that and this is a good thing. There's only one thing that Mitch McConnell has done that's a good thing in the last few years that I can think of, okay? He did stop Merrick Garland from becoming a Supreme Court justice when Obama nominated him in Obama's last year of office. That Merrick Garland, our attorney general, would have been a monster.
I don't know if that's a good thing. Look what we're dealing with now because of that decision.
Maybe.
You always said that he's out for vengeance.
Well, maybe, but maybe they would just have some other liberal attorney general doing the same thing.
Probably.
But Mitch McConnell, his wife, Elaine Chao, is from China.
Coco Chao.
Yeah. Her family are very prominent and wealthy in China. Her father went to school with the former president of China, so they're very well connected.
Yeah.
And I do believe that he's CCP and that she's his handler. I do believe that. And I know President Trump made her the Secretary of Transportation. He did that as a favor to try to get Mitch McConnell to work with him a little bit, which of course was a failure. Mitch McConnell was useless to President Trump and undermined him, and still does today when he's coherent. But this thing with Mitch McConnell is the definition of the swamp. If Mitch McConnell went out and got booed like that every day, he wouldn't care. These people in Washington,
no, they don't care.
They think that they are above us all. They think we're all stupid, that it's their country, we're just living in it. Mm-hmm. And Dianne Feinstein, who's also controlled by the CCP, we know this. She had a driver that was with her for over 20 years who was a Chinese spy. He had access to all of her documents, okay? And both Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein are out of it, especially Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein is so far gone, she signed power of attorney over to her daughter last week, yet she's still a voting member of the Senate. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, obviously out of it from that little stroke incident he had a while back. And then if you watch the video of him being booed, he's so out of it. And I think the reason that both Dianne Feinstein and Mitch McConnell have not stepped down is because I don't think China has someone to plug in to replace them. These two people, they're not just senators, they're senior United States senators. They have a lot of access to classified information. They have a lot of contacts. And I don't think that the CCP want to give up these two assets, Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein. Those are two assets that are hard to replace at that level. And I think that's why you have these checked out people that have all kinds of dementia and everything going on still in the Senate. It's pretty bad.
Plus, I think to me, being a senator is probably one of the best gigs you can have.
Oh, yeah.
In the country, you make good money. You're powerful. You hang out with powerful people. You go to a lot of great dinner parties and fun things, and very little work. You have a huge staff, and all you do is show up and vote or sit on a committee and get on TV. You have a lot of perks. And it's probably very hard to walk away from that. But I don't understand, do they have something in place where if somebody's basically incapacitated like Feinstein, can't they put somebody in her place? Can't somebody override this and put in somebody else?
They never do that. I remember
that's just when look at Nadler. He shouldn't be there either. When
Bill Clinton was getting impeached, the Democrats were trying to stop the vote from passing in the House. So, there's 435 members in the House of Representatives, and they were recalling everybody. There were people in hospitals. There was one guy who was facing going to prison, and they brought these all the there are people in Congress in both houses that are incapacitated all the time, and they let them continue in their post. Now, I wanted to
bring up one thing too before.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about this thing with Casey and Ron DeSantis, who just can't seem to make headway. Whenever they pull out the wife crying about her cancer battle, which, by the way, she's never lost her hair, which is weird to me. That's when it's a desperate move to get people to, see him as human. They crashed this wedding. You told me about this, and people were tweeting videos of this. It was a state representative's wedding, and
in
Iowa, where he has basically moved to. I can't remember the last time he was in Florida. He's been there for months now. And he went to this wedding, and he really has got, Trump's gone to weddings, but you mentioned it to me. Well, yeah, but they're at Mar-a-Lago. They're at his resort.
Or at his resort in New Jersey.
So, people that are getting married there probably are big Trump fans and love that he shows up, or they're members. But this is different. This is like he was invited to the wedding, I guess, I'm assuming. And, I would hope that he didn't just show up. But they had some big grand entrance, and I don't know. What was the big deal about this?
It was very awkward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's awkward.
So it's the wedding of a state rep in Iowa, which I don't even know how Ron DeSantis would know this person. I don't even know who our own state rep is where I live, okay?
Exactly.
And the state rep and his bride, they walk out of the room hand in hand, and then Ron DeSantis and Walmart Melania walk in behind him. And
that is weird.
And I saw an interview today with Ron DeSantis and his wife that was on MSNBC. I saw a clip of it. He did an MSNBC interview. You may see it. I may play some clips tomorrow. I don't think I'll play any of them on the podcast here. But I saw some footage of him on this NBC interview, and he's with Casey DeSantis. They're sitting next to each other, and they're holding hands during the interview. And everything these two people, I know they're married, guys, I understand. These two people are cardboard, cookie cutter politicians. Everything they do is staged, like this wedding event, which was so weird and awkward. DeSantis and Casey DeSantis, his wife, walk in the room behind.
They're being handled, you can tell.
Behind the groom and everyone. And it was so fake. And this holding hands during this MSNBC interview, it's also on NBC News, it also seemed awkward and fake and plastic and not real. And if you guys have seen this, go watch it. And typically with politicians, when they're holding hands with their wife, there's something wrong in the relationship. And
you know who they remind me of? You know who else does that?
The Clintons. When they're
Harry
they're fighting.
And Meghan.
Harry and Meghan, when they're, yep.
And a lot of people gave Melania, and I didn't like it when Trump would go to hold her hand and she would push his hand away, and that would bother me. But then I noticed something. When I was watching the Queen's funeral and Harry and Meghan's wedding, and I watch all that royal stuff, when I was watching all of that, you never see the royal family hold hands, ever. Only Harry and Meghan would hold hands. You'd never see Kate and William ever hold hands. And I think Melania, it's about protocol with her. I think she does that because not that she thinks she's royalty, but she really took her position very seriously. And I think she wanted to present that kind of an image like William and Kate or the Queen and her husband. She didn't want to be that way because I don't see any world leaders holding hands with their wives in public like that.
Or there's another possibility. Her Melania's close personal friend who went on to betray her probably said, in America, first ladies don't hold hands with to make them look like they were. I don't know.
I don't see a lot of politicians and their wives too much holding hands. It seems like it's a
unusual.
Protocol thing.
Very unusual.
And you're right. I feel like Ron and Casey get together with their group of cronies and they strategize constantly on how they can turn the tide. And they're pulling all these little stunts to try to do it, but everything seems to backfire on these two.
I'll tell you about this holding hands with the DeSantises. And I know a lot of you guys may be saying that I have DeSantis derangement syndrome. Maybe I do. I don't think that I do. But if you think I do, let me know. I don't think so. But this holding hands during this NBC interview with Ron DeSantis and his wife is very odd, very awkward. They're sitting next to each other.
That is a little strange during an interview.
Politicians and their wives typically hold hands when there's trouble in the marriage.
That's exactly right.
And I'm not alleging that there's any infidelities going on because she doesn't let him out of her sights. But what I think is going on is,
True.
in marriages, one of the most common conflicts in a marriage is financial, more so than even infidelity, because financial issues are more common. So I think that they're having marital problems because of the state of the campaign.
Absolutely.
She thought that she was going to be the next first lady.
Yep.
She, did all this Melania, Jackie Kennedy cosplay going on. It's obviously not happening now for them. And they're not getting along because she's probably blaming him.
Absolutely.
For blowing.
In fact, I predict.
She's probably blaming him for blowing the presidency.
Yes.
Because he's awkward or he's this or he's that. And they've been fighting. And this holding hands thing during the interview on NBC News is because they're not getting along together. And they went in there. When someone's going through troubles like that, even though nobody else knows for sure, they think everybody can tell. So they're holding hands to make sure that everybody knows. Like if you remember Megyn Kelly, after she did that interview with Ron DeSantis a couple weeks back, she went out to dinner. Megyn Kelly went out to dinner before the interview with the DeSantises, which I think is inappropriate.
Yeah.
And she says you could tell these two are really in love. They're a real couple. So I guess they were holding hands and all over each other at dinner with Megyn Kelly and her.
Let me tell you, nobody
husband.
Gives a damn.
But I think they're obviously having marital issues.
Obviously. There are so many things wrong in this country right now. Nobody cares whether they're in love or not. If they are, great. I'm happy for them. But that can also turn people off. This is the thing that I think the problem that the Clintons had, even though he did get elected, but still. I think people saw her as too involved and too present. She took a different role as a first lady, different than Nancy Reagan. She was up his ass. And I get that feeling with Casey. You know what I mean? That she's always there. She's holding on to him for dear life. And I think there's a lot of issues. Like you said, when you have people that are holding hands like that, it's nice that couples hold hands, but it seems a little forced to me, and it seems like it's a put on. I'm sure they're happy, whatever, and in love.
I don't think they're
small
happy.
Kids, who knows? But you're right. If he doesn't win, which he's not, I think it's really going to hurt their marriage. And I said this before: they're either going to get divorced down the road or live separate lives. He has no political future now, and I've read many articles by people in good publications that have said the same thing, that he's destroyed his political career by running now because. He has nobody in MAGA supports this guy. Nobody. And MAGA is what got him elected. And the Democrats aren't going to support him. So he's got 10% maybe of people, of Republicans that maybe like him because, for whatever reason, that's not enough. He still has not budged in the polls. He has not made any headway. He's doing all these interviews. When he does an interview, sometimes he sounds really good. He looks good on paper. But the problem he has is he's running at the wrong time. That's his big problem. But apparently, when he's meeting people, and like I said on yesterday's show, he's been in Iowa too long, and they've all gotten to know him too well. and they don't like him. I posted a picture on your YouTube community page of him speaking at an event, and everybody was holding up Trump signs in Iowa. That was a recent event. They don't like this guy. He's not connecting with people, but he is convinced he is basically moved to Iowa. He has convinced himself that he can, if he wins Iowa, he'll have momentum and he'll win the nomination.
That's true. Yeah.
But he's not going to win Iowa. Sorry.
Well, let me know in the comments, guys, if you think that Ron and Casey DeSantis holding hands during this NBC interview is a sign of marital troubles. I believe that it is. Now, the My Pillow My Slippers, a huge sale going on right now on the My Pillow My Slippers. I have these slippers, and they're as low as $25 a pair with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. Now, the My Pillow My Slippers are incredible, okay? They're good for all day wear. Steve Kane has several pairs, and on the cruise, Steve was wearing them to dinner every night, the formal dining. He has the charcoal My Slippers, and you couldn't even tell that he was wearing slippers. They're very nice. I wear mine around the house all the time. And they have a whole bunch of new colors on the My Pillow My Slippers and new sizes. They have larger and wider sizes for the men because a lot of guys were asking for those. And they also have smaller sizes for women and children. So the My Pillow My Slippers as low as $25 a pair with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com. And remember, you can use our promo code Kane on any of the specials you see at mypillow.com, not just the ones we talk about. But the My Pillow My Slippers, this is an all-time low price. You will love them. As low as $25 with our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com.
This Christmas, join Rain on a magical adventure in a heartwarming children's book that will delight the entire family. Is Santa Claus coming or not? From author Nicole Scurfield. Available on Amazon. Rain is determined to find out if Santa Claus is really coming to town on Christmas Eve night. Join Rain on her quest to discover the truth and experience the joy of Christmas together. Is Santa Claus coming or not? Is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. Share the wonder of Christmas and order your copy of Is Santa Claus Coming or Not? From author Nicole Scurfield on Amazon. Step into the exciting world of boxing history with the book Rivals in the Ring, 15 Greatest Boxing Rivalries of All Time, from author Andrew Dalziel, available on Amazon. In Rivals in the Ring, witness the fierce intensity and emotional drama that defined boxing's most legendary rivalries. You'll feel the adrenaline as these titans clashed, both in and out of the ring, leaving nothing but pure passion in their wake. You'll learn about the harsh realities of boxing. Some battles led to life-changing injuries and tragic losses, reminding us of the sacrifices these warriors made in the name of greatness. When you read Rivals in the Ring, you'll embrace the evolution of boxing as it intersects with medical advancements, ensuring the safety and well-being of today's fighters. This must-read book sheds light on the sport's transformation and its impact on the lives of fighters. Rivals in the Ring uncovers some of boxing's most noble moments over the past 120 years, while also tackling the challenging aspects that test boxing's integrity. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Rivals in the Ring, 15 Greatest Boxing Rivalries of All Time, from author Andrew Dalziel. Have you thought about starting your own business? Maybe you're already in business and looking for a new opportunity. Then order your copy of How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, available online at theinterlockbook.com. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this ebook offers invaluable insights and methods to ensure your ignition interlock business flourishes while prioritizing public safety with various ignition interlock services. With How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, you'll learn how to find the right ignition interlock partners, how to decide on the best business model, and understand various types of services. You'll discover how to analyze potential service center locations, how to streamline business operations, and how to navigate the process of applying for the right business licenses. This downloadable ebook is packed with exclusive, indispensable information you will not find anywhere else. Don't wait any longer. Take advantage of the opportunity and order your copy right now. How to Start an Ignition Interlock Business, online at theinterlockbook.com. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can take advantage of this opportunity too. theinterlockbook.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so a Gold Star mom who lost her Marine son told a story, which is really an upsetting story, of when she met Joe Biden after she lost her son. I'm going to play this for you, then we'll talk about it. Her mother, or I'm sorry, this is the mother of Lance Corporal Dylan Marola, okay, who sadly died in the line of duty. She met Biden, and this is what she says happened.
When Joe Biden, our elected president, entered the room, when he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt a little over 24 hours and learning of my son's death. After this encounter, I have never had any personal correspondence, nor has my son been honored or his name spoken by this commander-in-chief or his administration on what I feel is because of their failures and poor planning to exit our troops from Afghanistan.
Okay. So
That's heartbreaking.
This is not the first time that Joe Biden has implied that his son Beau died in combat.
Right.
His son was in the service and he did die, but he died of cancer here at home. And I've heard him myself in speeches imply that he died in combat. And Joe Biden has always been a pathological liar. And that's just what he is. He just lies constantly. And when I say lie, like he was busted with plagiarizing the speeches of a member of parliament in the UK speeches. He's back in the 70s and 80s. He was caught lying about his college education and all kinds of things. He just lies to lie when it's not even benefiting him to lie because he doesn't know another way. So he's very
That's pathological liars. It's a personality disorder that they have.
Now there's a story here with Zelensky.
That was very sad.
It is sad. It is.
And I want to say real quick about that when somebody loses somebody, and I've never had that kind of loss. I've lost my grandparents, but they were old.
Everyone loses
hard.
their grandparents.
Everybody loses their grandparent. But my parents are still alive, and thank God our daughter is fine. But when you lose somebody like that, and somebody, I would imagine, comes up to you, and the first thing out of their mouth is about them, I think that's a little rude to be that way, to be like, this happened to me. It's just so narcissistic to be that way. When here's this woman crying, grieving, she didn't get to say goodbye, was her point. They did. Beau was diagnosed. And it was awful because he was young and he probably had 3 months left to live. And that happened to my uncle. He got diagnosed with esophageal cancer at 45. He died 3 months later. That was it. That was nothing they could do. And it's awful. And it was devastating to the family. But when that happens, it's not a good thing. But you have time to get your affairs in order. You have time to say goodbye. You have time to spend with the family and say what you need to say. And it's hard, but you have that time. And her point was her son was probably in his 20s, so a lot younger, and she didn't get to say goodbye.
And her son died because of Biden's screw up in Afghanistan.
So that was like more salt in the wound.
And then he wants to talk about himself instead of her. It was heartless.
He's just
it's disgusting.
It is just awful.
If Trump did anything like that, the media'd be all over it.
Remember that Gold Star family that came out and bashed Trump for no reason? He did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. And the media ran with it, that Indian guy or whatever, and his wife came out of the DNC convention and said horrible things for no reason at all. Trump hadn't done anything to his son. And then you have this happening where her son actually died because of Biden's, failures. And then he comes up to her and just rubs more salt in the wound and starts talking about his own kid.
Oh, that's just true. Now, I want to share the story. There's a story about Zelensky that I'm going to call complete BS on. I'll read through this story. Ukraine says it has foiled a Russian assassination attempt against Zelensky. A woman allegedly aiding the Russians to take out Zelensky in an airstrike was caught red-handed. She's facing 12 years in prison. The equivalent of the Ukrainian FBI has said. An informant of Russian intelligence who was allegedly collecting information on President Zelensky's planned visit to a region close to the Crimea front line has been arrested, Ukraine's intelligence and security agency announced today. The arrest related to a trip which was impacted by the So they go on here. I do not believe that Putin had a failed assassination attempt here on Zelensky. If Putin wanted Zelensky gone, he would do it, okay? And this is, you got to understand, Russians are masters of propaganda. Ukrainians are Russian. Ukrainians are Russian. And so they have the same mindset. Ukrainians are to Russia what Americans are to, Californians. I mean, it used to be, Ukraine was one. The USR, the Union of Socialist Republics. It was one of the republics. It was one of the Russian republics. Ukraine. So they are Russian. So they have the same mindset of propaganda, and this is a propaganda story that Zelensky, that the Ukrainians are putting out to try to get U.S. sympathy behind them for more money.
More money, exactly.
And there's a big PR campaign going on right now. Adam Schiff, I turned on the news this morning, and they were playing a clip from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And when I turned on the news this morning.
Which clip?
It was Spock's funeral, and I thought, oh my God, William Shatner's died. Because William Shatner's like 90, 91 years old.
Yeah.
And, so first thing in the news this morning, turn it on, and I'm hearing this scene from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It was on the news, and I thought, oh my goodness, William Shatner's died. And no, Adam Schiff is trying to get Leonard Nimoy as Spock put on an official U.S. postage stamp because Leonard Nimoy is the son of Ukrainian immigrants. Well, I'm one of the biggest Star Trek fans that any of you know, I promise you, okay? I just don't talk about it on the show too much because, once I start talking about...
I didn't know he was Ukrainian.
Well, he wasn't. I follow everything about Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner their entire lives.
This is true.
And, both William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy are Jews. A lot of people don't know that. And that little hand symbol that Spock always does, to live long and prosper, that's something that they do in Temple. That's where that came from. And
isn't there that necklace people wear with the hand? It means something. And
in Star Trek, that's the edict symbol, infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
I see Jewish people wearing.
Yeah, it's a Jewish thing. Yeah, that's what. And Leonard Nimoy brought that into the character of Spock. Right. But anyway, I've seen every interview that Leonard Nimoy ever gave. I know everything about this guy. I've read his biographies. I even interviewed Leonard Nimoy's son on this podcast a while back, if you guys remember.
That's right.
He was making a documentary on Leonard Nimoy. And he was impressed how much I knew about his father. I knew things about his dad that even he did not know. But anyway, out of all of that, I never heard Leonard Nimoy say that he was descendant of Ukrainian immigrants. He was the child of Russian immigrants, okay? Russian Jews. Yeah, I never heard him call himself Ukrainian, but now he's Ukrainian because, they want to try to get somebody. But anyway, there's a big PR campaign going on behind Ukraine to try to get American opinion back in touch with, Ukraine. And this Russian story, this Russian assassination attempt that was foiled against Zelensky, I believe is Ukrainian propaganda. And I believe if Putin wanted Zelensky gone, he'd be gone. All right? That's it. He would just flatten the city. You don't think Putin knows where he is? Putin has spies all over Ukraine. Are you kidding me? No, I don't believe the story. Now, I want to play this clip. This has been going viral all over social media today. It was put out by the libs of TikTok. And this is a girl who lives in San Francisco, and she talks about something that happened to her. Let me just play it for you, and then we'll talk about it.
I'm literally shaking right now. I was just getting groceries, and I live in San Francisco, and I never really feel fully safe. If you live in San Francisco, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And I just got groceries. I'm walking out of the store, and this guy is walking past me and says, "Move, you stupid bitch," and he spits in my face. Spits all over my face. And then I say, "Excuse me, did you just spit in my face?" And he says, "Move or I'll rape you." There's also people everywhere, and everyone's just walking by because they're like, I can't handle something else in San Francisco. It's always something else. I don't even know why I'm posting this. If you live in San Francisco, do you feel this way all the time? I don't feel safe, ever. I literally never feel safe. It's better when it's daylight. But nighttime, no, not leaving my house.
Okay. Now, this is all over social media, as I said, and it's being recirculated by conservatives, and pretty much every comment I've read is are conservatives saying, I have no sympathy for her. I'm sure she's a Democrat. She lives in San Francisco. She voted for this. She got what she deserved and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. There's an old saying that I've not heard in years, but when I say it, a lot of you will remember. A liberal, let's see if you've heard this before, a liberal is a conservative who hasn't been mugged. You ever heard that?
No,
yeah,
I like that.
It's an old saying. I haven't heard this in years, but
I've never heard that.
People used to say this all the time. A liberal is a conservative who hasn't been mugged. And this is a liberal who's just been mugged, and she's getting all kinds of conservative thoughts about crime, just like Mayor Adams in New York. He's had two things that have happened. He had this riot over the weekend from that influencer, but the immigrants, all of a sudden, New York's not a sanctuary city because they're getting illegals there.
A lot of people don't come around until something actually happens to them. And that happens a lot with different things in life. They lack empathy for others. And until something happens to them personally, they don't understand it. They don't see it. It's like they're blind to it. Now, we'll see what happens when we might not see, but I'm sure this woman is a liberal and voted. So part of me is like, well, too bad. I feel, but then I'm like, well, that's awful what happened to her. And San Francisco, we've told our daughter to never go there. She lives in Los Angeles, which isn't the greatest, but I'm afraid for her to go to San Francisco, even more so. And I'm like, just don't go there right now. It once was a beautiful place. I was there a long time ago, but maybe this woman will wake up and start voting Republican and finally you never know, because if you see the video, she's visibly shaking. And maybe she has realized and woken. People do wake up and have something that happens to them that's so jarring that it does snap them out of their liberal coma.
You're right. Now, it
does happen.
I have been a crime victim several times. In fact, I was a crime victim and sent a man to prison for a year. Okay, someone committed a crime against me. I'm not going to get into all of that. I've talked about it long ago, but I don't want to get sidetracked into it. But I sent a man to prison. Well, he said himself. He was committing a crime. Yeah. I was the victim. I pressed charges. He did a year in the penitentiary, and he got out early. And it was pretty scary when he got out because, I thought he'd be looking for me.
Did they call and tell you
he got out? Or I got a letter in the mail and that he was going to be released from prison. And it was pretty. It was pretty scary. Yeah, it was. I was very nervous. I called them and I was contacted by a probation officer and everything. But anyway, and I've been a crime victim, sadly, more than once. But so far as this woman here, I'm going to tell you this. Okay, I feel bad for her because this is what you got to understand. A girl like this, well, she's like in her late 20s, early 30s. She's probably born and raised in California.
Right.
Okay. She doesn't know any different. She is completely brainwashed on liberalism. And liberalism, it's like communism. It's a theory that in many cases it might sound like a good idea.
Right.
Not that communism sounds like it. But in a theory, things are different than when you're actually living through it. And someone like this has just been brainwashed into liberalism. She knows no different.
That's true.
And for the first time in her life, she's being introduced to the real world. And I have sympathy for people that are crime victims. And, if you go on my YouTube channel, I had this incident that happened a few months ago where these guys were trying to rob me from my MAGA scooter.
Yeah.
And I made a video and I put it on my YouTube channel. It's one of my YouTube shorts, and it has about almost 300,000 views. And go to that video and read the comments. Some of the things people said and have said to me over this incident are insane.
Yeah, we should have more empathy. And just because somebody maybe is a liberal, and I understand what you're saying, she probably voted for Nancy Pelosi and probably voted for Gavin Newsom.
Exactly. And Biden and
so
Obama,
part of you is like, well, I don't feel sorry for this woman. But those people I don't know what's going on in California, but those people have been in power a long time. Nancy Pelosi. Why is this all of a sudden an issue with this massive crime? I know they've always had their issues.
It's gotten worse.
Why are they not? It has gotten so much worse in the last 4 or 5 years.
They've had
so all of a sudden
they've had a major homeless issue out there. And
that's part of it.
And this woman here, when that old saying I said that I gave you at the beginning there, a liberal is a conservative who hasn't been mugged.
Yeah.
This woman could have a great awakening, and I don't think she's going to become MAGA, but she's taking that first step to recovery. She's taking that first step of recovery from liberalism. And I don't want to discourage her to go back into that liberal San Francisco mindset by people bashing her because she could have been killed, she could have been raped, and the guy spit at her. I mean, she could get a disease.
Well, Emily, she's been in California 6 months, and luckily she hasn't become a liberal nut job.
She better not.
But she has said to us,
we'll cut her off if she does.
She has said to us that the people out there, they, like you said, they don't know any different. She said a lot of people here have been born and raised. They've always lived here. And she said they don't know any other way. Like I said, there's things you can't buy that you can buy in other states.
They're like North Koreans.
Yeah, and she said they just don't know any different. It's the total normal way of life for them.
They don't know another way.
So, this woman, if that happened to anybody, it's upsetting. Clearly, this woman,
especially a woman,
has lived. She lives in a very nice house. She's probably lived a very privileged life, and lives in a city that's not cheap to live in. San Francisco is very expensive, despite all the crime. It's still a very expensive place. And she's going out doing her shopping in the middle of the day, and this guy has basically assaulted her and threatened her, and I think spitting on somebody's pretty bad.
That is really bad.
And she was so upset about it, and it's viral on Twitter today. It's gone viral. You can watch it. And I feel very bad for her, but I understand a part of me is like, well, screw her. She deserves it. But I think you're right. I think it's a moment to be empathetic and show that we are not like liberals.
That's right.
That we can be Christian, we can be empathetic towards people, and instead of bad-mouthing her, we can say to her something, maybe it's time to look at the Republican platform a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's time to understand that the people you have voted. Now, we could be wrong. Maybe she is MAGA, but I think
no, she's.
I think if she was MAGA, she would have said something about Trump. Yeah. It would have been more political. The fact that she kept politics out of it tells me she's a liberal because she's not going to throw her party under the bus. You know what I mean? If she was a conservative, she would have been like, I'm a Trump supporter and this is ridiculous. She didn't do that. So hopefully she'll wake up to the reality here.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And remember, guys, we've added a new feature available to Patreon supporters where Kathy and I are able to upload videos and communicate with you on the Patreon page. And we're both uploading videos very regularly, communicating with all of you up there. So if you're a Patreon supporter and you've not checked any of that out, please do. And remember that if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description, as well as on my website, briancraigshow.com. All Patreon supporters have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Melissa, John, Arctic Fox, Paulette, Heather, David, and Richard. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
The new book from author William Thien is now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip. In The Dream Chip, meet David O'Rourke, an intelligence agent turned uploader for the Timelink Corporation, a futuristic technology company. His mission, capture the thoughts and memories of the deceased and store them in the Will of Memories, a protected vault of supercomputers. But there's more to the Timelink Corporation than meets the eye. They're also the creator of the Common Council software program, which empowers citizens to have a say in government decisions. This revolutionary system threatens the power of a group known as the Civocrats, who are determined to maintain their control at any cost. As tensions rise, their leader organizes a mob to attack the Timelink Corporation. The fate of the future is hanging in the balance. The Dream Chip takes you on an adventure filled with technology, political intrigue, and the power of human memory. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip from author William Thien, and uncover the secrets that lie within. Are you ready for an inspiring tale of resilience and rebuilding? From author Ken Skelton comes the children's book After the Storm. Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley help rebuild Sanibel is now available on Amazon. It's the year 2022. Smiley, a retired handyman, had no idea that a hurricane named Ian would bring him back into action as Florida, including beautiful Sanibel Island, suffered from the devastating aftermath. One woman named Jenny, owner of a construction and remodeling business, stepped up to the challenge. The government mobilized forces like the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and local police and sheriff departments for search, rescue, and rebuilding efforts. But Jenny didn't stop there. Leading her own team, she rallied skilled workers, including electricians, plumbers, tile installers, carpenters, painters, and many more. Together, they became the silent heroes of the storm, working tirelessly to repair Jenny's business and the homes of her clients. From darkness and destruction emerged a glimmer of hope, a journey that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. After the Storm, Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley help rebuild Sanibel from author Ken Skelton is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Calling all young adventurers and curious minds. Get ready for a learning experience like no other with Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee. Available now on Amazon. Learning is an exciting journey, and this book will take you on new adventures filled with fun facts and quizzes at the end of each section. Quizzes aren't just for school. They challenge your comprehension skills and help you retain essential knowledge throughout your academic years. With this fun book, you'll discover amazing animals, volcanoes, different types of weather, and more. Plus, discover the fascinating stories of former U.S. presidents and the world of sports. This book is just the beginning of your learning quest. Stay curious and open-minded to find the fun in all information. Grab your copy now and begin an educational adventure the whole family will enjoy together. Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee, where learning becomes a thrilling experience. Available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon. Order your copy right now. In the new book from author John Meldum, Pangea, available on Amazon, meet Richard. He's an American who recently embarked on a new life in London. His biggest worry? Surviving and paying his bills on a meager salary. Little did he know, his world was about to change forever. An invasion of unknown alien forces shakes the Earth. It was just the beginning. Drawn into a whirlpool of galactic politics, he finds himself in a web of intrigue where secrets are hidden and betrayal is just a step away. Will he rise to the challenges that lie ahead? Or will his name be forgotten in the annals of history, alongside countless others? Find out when you read Pangea, a science fiction detective novel from author John Meldum. Available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and transport yourself to a future where humanity's wildest dreams have come true and choices must be made. Pangea from author John Meldum on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so President Trump was saying all weekend, and again today, that this fourth indictment, the one out of Georgia, is imminent, right? It's going to be any minute. It could happen while we're speaking. It's that imminent. And there's an article on this. I want to just go through this a little bit because I think it's important. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is reportedly preparing to charge President Trump under the Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organization Act in Georgia. This is also being reported in the Wall Street Journal, which is part of Rupert Murdoch's media empire, the Fox News connection there. The development comes as Trump already faces 3 criminal indictments. Georgia's RICO law is similar to the federal statute. It allows for the prosecution of an organization's members if they are found to be committing crimes together on a recurring basis. The RICO Act in Georgia, modeled after the federal law of the same name, is a powerful tool that's been used effectively by Willis in the past. It was originally enacted in 1970 to dismantle mafia organizations by connecting mob bosses with their underlings who carried out crimes. Legal experts and lawyers who have been following the investigation believe that Willis will invoke the RICO Act against Trump and his allies. And there's some other details here. So they're basically, what they're trying to do is get him branded a organized criminal figure, like a mafia boss.
Well, and what they want to do is arrest a bunch of people. This allows them
perp walk them
to put a group together of co-conspirators, as they would call them, and have and paint them like they're like a group in the mob, like a Soprano type with his cronies. Yeah. And they're going to bring in. I believe they bring in all these other people as a way to not only make it look like they want to make it look like there was an organized effort, not just Trump, but beyond Trump, that there was an organized effort of him and a bunch of people to do this. And they might do that to give that impression, also to get people to flip. And like Michael Cohen did, they'll say whatever they have to say to stay out of jail. I'm never comfortable with that. We watch a lot of true crime, and there's always somebody. I'm not saying the person's lying, but there's always somebody who flips on somebody, and they make a deal, and they'll be like, "We'll keep you out of jail if you tell us everything." Well, you're going to tell them whatever the hell they want to hear to stay out of jail. And I believe that's what Michael Cohen does. I believe he goes on TV, and somebody that knows him said he will say anything, do anything to stay out of jail. He went to jail for a while. He was terrified, and he does not want to go back. So he will do whatever he has to do.
Well, Michael Cohen.
And they get people to flip on Trump.
Michael Cohen, I believe that what he does, the only way he can make a living is by being a paid pundit on TV bashing Trump.
Yes.
He can't be a lawyer anymore or anything. And bashing Trump is what he does for a living. And what they did with Michael Cohen, he's the new John Dean. John Dean was President Nixon's White House attorney. And they had John Dean on all the way during Trump's first term all the time. But he's like 120 years old. I barely remember John Dean myself. And so what they've done is these Watergate Republicans that have been helping the Democrats since Nixon left office, they're getting too old. Some of them are not even around anymore.
Yeah.
So they're replacing them with Michael Cohen, that girl that worked for Trump on The View, Melania's friend that wrote the book. They're getting this new generation, like the Watergate Republican traitors.
Well, yeah, and they want to make their mark in history.
And all they do is
be a part of this.
Yeah, and all they do for a living is bash. It used to be Nixon and Republicans. Now it's Trump and Republicans. I want to play this clip of President Trump here.
Yeah, well, they know that this is going to be written about for
Kathy, they have no other way to make a living.
Decades and decades.
Michael Cohen is
well, and they want to be a part of this.
He can't be a lawyer anymore. So what's he gonna? What is he gonna do to make a living? What else can he do other than bash Trump?
Like Chris Christie?
Yeah, exactly.
He needs donut money.
So let me play. This is President Trump, and he's talking about all these things he's facing.
Biden by a lot. So a lot of incredible numbers are coming along. We have a primary season with crooked Joe Biden as a weaponized and horrible, horrible law enforcement group that are just, it's sick what's going on. Have you ever seen anything like what's going on? I mean, I never heard the word indictment. Then all of a sudden, over a period of a couple of weeks, you get 4 indictments.
I mean, this is crazy.
He said 4. So
well,
that
this is the 4th one. The 4th one's going to be Georgia.
No, so he said 4, so he's expecting it soon.
Yeah, he's already counting that as being indicted.
Exactly.
I mean, this is insane. And I played this clip today. Caitlin Collins on CNN had a retired Secret Service agent on talking about how the Secret Service will protect Donald Trump when he's in federal prison and general pop. It was so bizarre. It was a fantasy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That they're going on. And now there's a move by Democrats to have cameras in the courtroom in D.C. In the United States, we have cameras in courtrooms a lot. You've seen trials on TV. Mm-hmm. Not every state does it. Most do. But we do not have cameras in federal courtrooms. And the Democrats are trying to get the judge in the D.C. case to have a camera in there. And the reason I hope they do, as does Trump's lawyer, who's very good. He was on TV.
I would love it.
But what the Democrats are doing, the reason they want a camera in this courtroom is this is what they think, okay? He keeps going up in the polls, with all these indictments. If the American people could only see him sitting in a courtroom, then they'll turn against. They're always running an angle. The camera in the courtroom would be devastating for the Democrats and this corrupt regime that's running this country right now. And they're not going to let cameras in this courtroom, not just because we don't have cameras in the federal courts. That could be changed. They don't want us to see, one, how flimsy their case is, and also how strong the defense is. So they're not going to let cameras in that courtroom or any other federal courtroom because of this. But this indictment in Georgia, I was talking about this last week. The sheriff who's running around saying there will be a mugshot. And you've got this prosecutor.
We'll see if that happens.
They're both black, and this is very important to point out. Okay, when the white Democrats during the Jim Crow era were running Georgia and all the South, they used the law. They had racist judges, racist sheriffs, and other public officials who used the law to oppress black people. One of the main reasons, it wasn't the only reason, but one of the main reasons that blacks were being oppressed by the white Democrats during Jim Crow is because blacks were Republicans. And they were trying to suppress them because they were Republicans. They didn't like black people because they were black either, but that a big part of it was because they were Republicans. Now we have black Democrats. Look at what they're doing. They want to jail Republicans because they're Republicans. What this prosecutor and sheriff are doing in Georgia to Donald Trump is exactly what the white Democrats were doing to Martin Luther King and other blacks in the South during the Jim Crow era, and they should be ashamed of themselves. It's disgusting. And of course, President Trump is not guilty of all these crimes, and bring it on. Indict him 8 times.
I have more breaking news from DC Drano.
Yeah, DC Drano's good.
Always good. Breaking news, Marjorie Taylor Greene announces potential investigation into undercover video of Nancy Pelosi's daughter, Alexandra, discussing J6, where they discuss you can see, I'll retweet that. There's a video, an undercover video of her saying that it wasn't an insurrection.
Well, the thing with Nancy Pelosi on January 6th, and I just say this real quick because we're running out of time. Nancy Pelosi's daughter is a documentary filmmaker.
Right.
And just coincidentally, on January 6th, she had her entire film crew with her. And
filming
a lot of the footage that you see, in fact, pretty much all of it, you see with Nancy Pelosi on January 26th was taken by her daughter's documentary.
January 6th.
What did I say?
26th.
Oh, well, hey, 26/6. You guys know what I'm talking about. Pretty much all the video you see of Nancy on January 6th was taken from her daughter's documentary filmmakers. And I know a lot of people say, well, she had this. She's with her mother all the time. Why? And she's been with her in Congress many times. Why on this day did Nancy Pelosi's daughter have her entire movie crew with her? This is definitely something that is suspicious.
They have this undercover video of her saying that the media hyped it up.
Yeah.
That it was not an insurrection. and that it was a war to distract Americans, and that there were no guns, that people were just taking selfies mostly.
Yeah.
And that it was a nothing, and that the media was hyping it up.
Yeah.
So now Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to look into that because she's probably thinking like you, well, why the hell was her film crew there at this exact time?
And that's not cheap. It wasn't
filming this ready to go. I mean, come on.
Like I make a lot of vlogs and everything. When I vlog, I have the newest iPhone, and I just take my iPhone and and film everything on my iPhone. Nancy Pelosi's daughter had a movie crew with her. Right? Exactly. It's not like she just was taking it on her personal camera. She had a film crew with her, which is very expensive.
This is what people said about 9/11 when they suspected things going on with George Bush.
Yeah.
And there was that whole film crew filming. And a lot of people are like, well, how come they just happen to be
Exactly. There? Well, listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. My name's Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Remember, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. Whatever podcast platform you use for your podcast, just search the Brian Craig Show podcast. Will come right up. And you can also listen to the podcast on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And when we upload the show to YouTube, we do it in a live premiere with a live chat. We have a great community there. And Kathy and I are in the live chat during the podcast as well. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today.